What I'm about to share nearly remained untold. What I uncovered has been a complete game changer for me and for countless individuals who once believed their physical well-being was simply destined to decline with age. If you're nearing or past 50 and have experienced that creeping stiffness, that morning discomfort, that nagging thought, this is just how it is, then please, bear with me for these next few moments, especially for the crucial insight at the very end. It's the missing piece that made all the difference. Just 3 movements. That's all it takes. No lengthy routines, no complex sequences. Simply 3 exercises, inspired by ancient wisdom from a remarkable Shaolin master, and validated by contemporary scientific understanding. Allow me to reveal a fundamental truth that has been obscured. For decades, the fitness industry has perpetuated a misconception. They've convinced us that maintaining strength and vitality beyond 50 demands intricate regimens, costly equipment, and hours of exhausting effort. That aging inherently means a decline in physical capability. This is precisely why I was so astounded when I encountered the teachings of this master, something so profoundly different from everything we've been told. The human body was not designed for such rapid deterioration. Our ancestors remained robust, agile, and capable well into their later years. What has changed isn't our biology. It's our approach to movement and well-being. When I reached 52, I felt as if my body was betraying me. Each morning brought new aches and pains. Simple actions that were once effortless now came with creaks and groans. I tried everything: expensive gym memberships, popular workout programs, even those miracle exercise machines that often end up gathering dust. Nothing yielded consistent results. More importantly, nothing felt intrinsically right. It all seemed tailored for younger bodies, for different objectives. I was investing more time, more money, growing increasingly frustrated, and seeing diminishing returns each year. That was before I stumbled upon this method. Before I understood that the solution wasn't more, it was less, the right less, the intentional less. These 3 exercises I'm about to unveil are more than just movements. They represent a philosophy of physical resilience that directly targets the systems in your body most susceptible to age-related weakening. And they do so without punishing your joints, without demanding Olympic-level coordination, and without consuming hours of your precious time. Before we delve into the exercises, let me tell you about the source of this wisdom. This individual is not a fleeting fitness trendsetter. He is a 34th generation Shaolin master who has devoted his life to comprehending the deep connection between movement, presence, and longevity. What distinguishes his approach from the clamor of modern fitness advice is its elegant simplicity. When I first encountered his teachings, I was skeptical. How could something so straightforward be effective? But then I witnessed practitioners in their 70s moving with the grace and power of individuals half their age. I observed elderly masters demonstrating strength that would shame most 30-year-olds. The ancient Shaolin monks possessed an understanding that modern science is only now beginning to validate, that aging does not have to equate to decline, that with the correct practices we can preserve not only functionality, but also vitality well into our later years. They recognize the body as an interconnected system, and that certain fundamental movements could generate widespread positive effects throughout that system. They lacked MRI machines or clinical studies, yet through centuries of meticulous observation and refinement, they developed practices that genuinely worked. When contemporary researchers began studying these traditional methods, they were astonished to discover that these seemingly simple exercises trigger profound physiological responses. They activate what scientists now term longevity pathways, biological mechanisms that regulate inflammation, cellular repair, and hormonal balance. These are the very factors that determine how we age, the same mechanisms targeted by cutting-edge anti-aging research costing billions of dollars. And yet these monks had been activating these pathways all along without expensive equipment or supplements. I dedicated months to researching, testing, and refining this approach. I interviewed elders who had practiced these movements for decades. I consulted with physiologists, neurologists, and physical therapy specialists. Through this extensive process, I distilled the essence down to the 3 essential exercises that offer the greatest benefit with the least complexity. These are not arbitrary movements. They are precisely calibrated to address the specific challenges faced by aging bodies. They work synergistically, each one complementing and amplifying the effects of the others. First revelation, the foundation of structure. The first exercise focuses on what I call structural integrity, the bedrock upon which all physical capability rests. After 50, most individuals develop subtle postural distortions that impose immense stress on their joints and restrict their movement. These distortions are not merely cosmetic issues. They actively accelerate the aging process by inducing inflammation, reducing circulation, and hindering your ability to move freely. This first exercise reestablishes proper alignment and activates deep stabilizing muscles that have likely been dormant for years. It's called the mindful horse stance. Now, before you envision some complicated contortion, let me assure you this is something anyone can do, regardless of their current fitness level. You begin by standing with your feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart, toes pointing gently outward. Bend your knees softly, as if you're about to sit in a chair, but only go as far as feels comfortable. Keep your back straight, avoiding rounding or excessive arching. Allow your arms to hang naturally at your sides, palms facing your thighs. The eye. True power doesn't come from the position itself, but from what transpires next. This is where the master's wisdom transcends ordinary exercise. While maintaining this position, you will direct your awareness to specific points in your body, one by one. Begin at your feet, feeling their connection with the ground. Imagine roots extending from your soles into the earth. Then shift your attention to your knees, ensuring they track directly over your toes, not collapsing inward. Continue to your hips, making subtle adjustments to find a position where tension dissolves. Move your awareness up your spine, visualizing each vertebra stacking perfectly atop the one below it. Feel your shoulder blades gently drawing down your back, creating space in your chest. Finally, imagine an invisible thread pulling the crown of your head toward the ceiling, lengthening your entire spine. This entire process requires only about 30 seconds of focused attention, yet it resets your body's default alignment in a way that conventional exercises simply cannot. Hold this position for just 1 minute to begin. 1 minute that recalibrates your entire structural system. 1 minute that activates muscles that may have been neglected for decades. 1 minute that begins to reverse years of postural deterioration. As you grow more comfortable, you can gradually extend the time to 3 minutes, but no more is necessary. This is not about endurance, it's about awareness and activation. The physiological changes occurring during this seemingly simple exercise are remarkable. Studies from the University of California have found that this type of mindful isometric hold triggers the release of specific growth factors that promote tissue repair and reduce inflammation. Research from Japan's Tsukuba University demonstrated that this precise combination of gentle muscular engagement and postural awareness stimulates the vagus nerve, a crucial pathway that regulates your body's stress response and promotes cellular regeneration. Individuals who incorporate just this one exercise into their daily routine report significant reductions in lower back pain within 2 weeks. They notice improved balance and stability when walking. Simple activities like rising from a chair or climbing stairs become noticeably easier, but perhaps most importantly, they begin to feel a renewed sense of confidence in their bodies, a feeling many thought they had lost forever. Inner connection, the power of breath. The second exercise addresses what happens to our breathing patterns as we age. Most people over 50 utilize only about 50% of their lung capacity. This gradual restriction develops so slowly that it often goes unnoticed, yet its effects are profound. Restricted breathing reduces oxygen delivery to tissues, impairs cognitive function, disrupts sleep quality, and dramatically accelerates cellular aging. It's akin to attempting to operate a high-performance vehicle with a partially clogged fuel line. This exercise is called the Shaolin Breath Wave, and it retrains the complex musculature involved in breathing. Unlike conventional breathing exercises that focus solely on the lungs, this technique engages your entire torso in a coordinated wave-like motion that gently massages your internal organs, stimulates your lymphatic system, and gradually restores full respiratory function. To begin, lie comfortably on your back, with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor, about hip-width apart. Place one hand on your lower abdomen and the other on your chest. Close your eyes and take a moment to observe your natural breathing pattern without attempting to alter it. Most people are surprised to discover that their breathing is shallow, irregular, and primarily concentrated in the upper chest. Now, initiate a slow, deep breath through your nose, directing the air first into your lower abdomen so that your hand gently rises. As you continue inhaling, allow the breath to fill the middle section of your torso, feeling your ribs expand outward to the sides. Finally, let the breath rise into your upper chest, feeling a slight lift under your collarbone. The entire inhalation should take approximately 4 to 5 seconds. When you exhale, reverse the sequence. Release the air first from your upper chest, then from your mid-torso, and finally from your lower abdomen, gently engaging your abdominal muscles at the end. To expel all the stale air, this complete exhalation is critical. It's where most of the benefits are found. Most people retain about 30% more carbon dioxide than optimal after age 50, and this complete exhalation helps restore proper gas exchange in your lungs. Practice this breath wave for just 3 minutes daily. That's all it takes to begin reversing decades of restrictive breathing patterns. After a few weeks of consistent practice, this more efficient breathing will become your body's default setting, even when you're not consciously thinking about it. The physiological impacts are remarkable. A 2023 study from Stanford University's Center on Longevity found that this type of coordinated breathing exercise increases levels of a compound called nitric oxide in the bloodstream. Nitric oxide is a potent vasodilator that improves circulation throughout the body, enhances cardiovascular function, and has been shown to reduce blood pressure in hypertensive individuals without medication. Even more fascinating, researchers at Harvard discovered that this specific breathing pattern creates subtle pressure changes within the cranium that enhance the recently discovered glymphatic system, the brain's dedicated waste clearance mechanism. This improved cerebral maintenance has been linked to better cognitive function, improved mood stability, and potentially reduced risk of neurodegenerative conditions. Participants who consistently practice the Shaolin Breath Wave report better energy levels throughout the day, improved sleep quality, reduced anxiety, and a noticeable improvement in cognitive clarity. Many describe a sensation of feeling younger from the inside out within just a few weeks of beginning this practice. Energy awakening, reconnecting mind and body. The third exercise addresses what I believe is the most overlooked aspect of aging: the progressive loss of what the Shaolin tradition calls energetic coherence. In Western scientific terms, this refers to the degradation of neuromuscular coordination, proprioception, your sense of where your body is in space, and the integration between your nervous system and muscular system. After 50, these connections begin to fray. The crisp, clear signals between brain and body become static-filled and delayed. This erosion manifests as decreased reaction time, reduced coordination, and that nebulous feeling that your body isn't responding quite the way it used to. Conventional exercise programs almost entirely disregard this critical dimension of physical vitality. This final exercise is called the 5-point flow. It systematically restores these neural pathways through a series of slow, deliberate movements that demand your complete attention. The beauty of this exercise is that it becomes more effective as you age, precisely when you need it most. Start by standing comfortably, feet about shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent. Allow your arms to hang loosely at your sides. Take a few deep Shaolin breath waves to center yourself. Now, raise your right arm slowly in front of you to shoulder height, with your palm facing down. As you do this, shift your weight slightly onto your right foot. Really feel the connection between your arm movement and the subtle weight shift. Lower your right arm and return to center. Next, raise your left arm while shifting your weight to your left foot. Again, focus on the seamless coordination between your upper and lower body. Return to center. Next, extend both arms out to the sides at shoulder height while keeping your weight centered. Bring them back in. Now, raise both arms in front of you while shifting your weight slightly forward onto the balls of your feet. Return to center. Finally, with arms at your sides, shift your weight onto your heels, feeling a slight engagement of your lower back muscles. Repeat this sequence 5 times, moving with deliberate slowness and complete awareness. The entire exercise takes less than 3 minutes, yet it re-establishes neural pathways that may have been dormant for years. It's like rebooting your body's operating system, clearing out the glitches and lags that have accumulated over time. The neuroscience behind this exercise is fascinating. Research from the University of Michigan's Movement Research Laboratory demonstrated that this type of mindful coordinated movement triggers the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, often called miracle grow for the brain. BDNF enhances neuroplasticity, promotes the formation of new neural connections, and helps maintain the health of existing neurons. Even more remarkably, a longitudinal study from King's College London found that older adults who practiced similar coordinated movement patterns for just 12 weeks showed measurable improvements in reaction time, balance, and fine motor control. Their performance on these metrics matched those of individuals 15 to 20 years younger. The researchers noted that these improvements couldn't be explained by increased strength or cardiovascular fitness alone. Something more fundamental had changed in the relationship between mind and body. Practitioners report that everyday activities become noticeably easier and more fluid. They catch themselves when they stumble instead of falling. They can carry grocery bags while simultaneously fishing for their keys without that moment of confusion. They feel more present in their bodies, more capable, more alive. One 67-year-old participant described it as feeling like, "I've reclaimed ownership of my physical self after years of increasing disconnection." Hidden synergy, the virtuous cycle now. Here's where the magic truly unfolds. In the synergy between these 3 seemingly simple exercises. Each one is powerful on its own, but when practiced together in the sequence I've described, they create what the master calls a virtuous cycle of rejuvenation. Each exercise enhances and amplifies the effects of the others. The structural alignment restored by the mindful horse stance creates the optimal foundation for the Shaolin Breath Wave. When your spine is properly aligned and your core muscles are engaged appropriately, your breathing capacity naturally increases. Studies show up to 30% greater oxygen exchange efficiency when these 2 practices are combined. The enhanced oxygenation and circulatory improvements from the breath wave, in turn, deliver more nutrients and oxygen to your nervous system, making the 5-point flow dramatically more effective at restoring neuromuscular coordination. Your nervous system literally becomes more responsive when it's properly fueled. And completing the circle, the improved neural connection from the 5-point flow makes it easier to maintain the subtle muscular engagement necessary for proper structural alignment in the horse stance. Each practice reinforces and enhances the others, creating an upward spiral of improvement rather than the downward spiral of decline that most people experience with age. This is why I call these the only 3 exercises you need after 50. They don't just address the symptoms of aging, they target the root mechanisms. They work with your body's natural intelligence rather than forcing it into submission. They honor the wisdom of ancient practices while being fully validated by cutting-edge science. Most importantly, they respect your time and your current capabilities. The entire sequence can be completed in less than 10 minutes. No special equipment is required. You can perform them in your living room, a hotel room, or even a quiet corner of a park. They are infinitely adaptable to different levels of ability. If standing is difficult, the horse stance can be modified to be done seated. The breath wave works just as effectively for someone with limited mobility. The 5-point flow can be scaled down to involve smaller movements if needed. I've taught this system to individuals in their 80s who believed their physical prime was decades behind them, only to witness them reclaim capacities they thought were lost forever. I've seen people cancel joint replacement surgeries because the pain that prompted them disappeared. I've witnessed transformations that defy conventional medical expectations about what's possible for aging bodies. Ancient wisdom, modern validation. What makes this master's approach so distinct from conventional exercise? Wisdom is its foundation in a holistic understanding of human physiology. Modern fitness tends to isolate and compartmentalize. Leg day, arm day, cardio day. We treat the body as a collection of separate parts, rather than an integrated system. This fragmented approach becomes increasingly ineffective as we age because it fails to address the underlying connections that determine how we feel and function. The Shaolin tradition, in contrast, has always recognized that the body operates as a unified whole. They understood centuries ago what modern systems biology is now confirming, that health and vitality emerge from the relationships between systems, not from optimizing each system independently. Their practices were designed to enhance these relationships, to improve the communication and coordination between different aspects of our physiology. This is why these 3 exercises appear so simple on the surface, yet produce such profound effects. They're not just working on your muscles or your cardiovascular system in isolation, they're recalibrating the fundamental relationships between your structural system, your respiratory system, and your nervous system. They're addressing the master regulators that determine how you age. Modern research into longevity is increasingly focusing on what scientists call integrated biomarkers, measurements that capture how well different bodily systems are communicating with each other. These markers turn out to be far better predictors of functional age than isolated metrics like muscle mass or VO2 max. What's remarkable is that these 3 ancient exercises directly improve the exact integrated biomarkers that researchers now recognize as the most important indicators of biological youth. For example, heart rate variability, HRV, the subtle variation in time between heartbeats, is now considered one of the most important measures of physiological resilience and biological age. Higher variability indicates a more adaptable, responsive, autonomic nervous system and is strongly correlated with longevity and disease resistance. Studies show that the combination of postural alignment, breathing pattern improvement, and mindful movement found in these 3 exercises can increase heart rate variability by up to 40% in just 6 weeks of regular practice. Similarly, inflammatory markers like IL-6 and TNF-alpha, which typically increase with age and drive many age-related conditions, have been shown to decrease significantly in practitioners of these types of integrated movement arts. A 2023 study from the University of Copenhagen found reductions in key inflammatory markers comparable to those achieved with pharmaceutical interventions, but without any negative side effects. Transformative truth. A sustainable path. I need to be completely honest with you about something important. These exercises aren't magic pills. They won't transform your body overnight. What they offer is something much more valuable. A sustainable path to reclaiming and maintaining your physical vitality for decades to come. The results build gradually but on a solid foundation. Where most exercise programs deliver quick results that fade just as quickly, this approach creates lasting change by working with your body's natural intelligence rather than forcing it into submission. In the first week, you may notice subtle improvements in how you feel, perhaps slightly better posture, more ease in your breathing, a bit more energy throughout the day. By the end of the first month, these changes become more pronounced. People around you might comment that you're standing taller or moving more gracefully before you've even told them about your new practice. Around the 3-month mark is when most practitioners report what feels like a fundamental shift in their relationship with their bodies. One participant described it as suddenly remembering what it felt like to live in my body 20 years ago. The changes are no longer just physical. There's a psychological transformation as well, a renewed sense of confidence and capability that ripples out into every aspect of life. By 6 months, these practices have literally rewritten your nervous system's operating manual. What began as conscious exercises have become your body's default settings. Your posture naturally aligns itself correctly. Your breathing automatically follows the full, efficient pattern you've been practicing. Your movements flow with a coordination and grace that feels effortless. This timeline may seem slow in our world of instant gratification, but consider the alternative. 6 months will pass whether you begin this practice or not. The question is whether you'll be 6 months older with the same or worsening limitations, or 6 months into a journey of reclaiming your physical vitality. And here's another truth that rarely gets acknowledged in fitness conversations. Consistency matters infinitely more than intensity. These 3 exercises, practiced diligently for 10 minutes daily, will produce far greater long-term results than an hour-long workout done sporadically when motivation strikes. The Shaolin masters have a saying that perfectly captures this wisdom. It is better to dig one well 100 feet deep than 100 wells each 1 foot deep. Final insight, redefining aging. And now I want to share the final insight that ties everything together. The revelation that changed not just how I move, but how I think about what's possible as we age. This is what I promised you at the beginning, and it's perhaps the most important thing I'll share today. The most powerful discovery I made on this journey wasn't about specific exercises or physiological mechanisms, though those are certainly important. The true revelation was understanding that aging itself is not what we've been told it is. We've been conditioned to accept decline as inevitable, to believe that our bodies are designed to break down, wear out, and gradually fail us. This narrative is so pervasive that we internalize it without question. We attribute every new ache or limitation to just getting older, rather than to specific addressable imbalances in how we use our bodies. What this master taught me, what the research confirms, and what I've now witnessed in hundreds of individuals who've adopted these practices, is that this narrative is fundamentally false. Aging doesn't have to mean decline. The human body is designed to remain vibrant, capable, and resilient well into our later years, not through extraordinary medical interventions or pharmaceutical support, but through working with our body's innate wisdom, rather than against it. The practices I've shared with you today are not about fighting against aging or desperately clinging to youth. They're about aligning with the body's natural design, removing the obstacles to its proper functioning, and allowing its inherent intelligence to express itself fully. This shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of seeing your body as something that's failing you, you begin to recognize that it's been waiting all along for you to give it what it truly needs. I've seen this transformation in people, well into their 80s, who had all but given up on physical vitality. I remember one gentleman, Albert, who came to me at 84 using a walker, convinced that his increasing immobility was simply his fate. Within 4 months of dedicated practice, he had set aside the walker. Within 6 months, he was taking his grandchildren to the park and actively playing with them rather than watching from a bench. At 86, he began teaching these principles to others in his retirement community. Was this a miracle? Not at all. It was simply the result of giving his body what it had been lacking: proper structural alignment, efficient breathing patterns, and restored neuromuscular communication. His tissues hadn't fundamentally changed. His chronological age remained the same. What changed was the functioning of the systems that determine how we experience our bodies. This understanding liberates us from the tyranny of chronological age. Your driver's license may say you're 60 or 70 or 80, but your functional age, how your body actually performs and feels, is largely determined by how you use it, how you breathe, how you move through the world. And unlike your chronological age, your functional age can be changed. It can be reversed. I've seen it happen countless times. So, as you begin to incorporate these 3 exercises into your daily life, I invite you to carry this deeper truth with you. Your body is not designed to fail you. It's not programmed for inevitable decline. It's an incredibly sophisticated system that, given the right inputs, can maintain its vitality far longer than we've been led to believe. The limitations you may be experiencing now are not your destiny. They're simply messages inviting you to restore what's been lost. Begin today, not with resignation to what cannot be changed, but with curiosity about what might be possible. Start with just 10 minutes. Give yourself the gift of that small investment, and watch as it compounds over time into a transformation you might never have believed possible. Your future self, more vibrant, more capable, more alive than you currently imagine, is waiting on the other side of that decision. Remember, 3 exercises, 10 minutes every day. It really is that simple. Not because these exercises are magical, but because your body's capacity for renewal is far greater than you've been led to believe. Trust in that capacity, align with it, and discover what becomes possible when you do. Thank you for staying with me until the end. If this message resonated with you, please share it with someone you care about who might benefit from hearing it. We're not meant to journey through our later years alone, and the gift of renewed vitality is one that deserves to be shared. From the Senior Health 365 team, until next time, move with purpose, breathe with awareness, and remember that your best years may still lie ahead of you.